Time ticks and drips away, days burn, disintegrate, years roll along and fade, don't let them slip away. Right here, right now, today, these are the good old days. Right here, right now, today, hey, these are the good old days.
Aren't they just?
Aren't they? These are the good old days because we're hanging out with awesome people, both in the chat and here live. So welcome to Go Figure. We usually fix and restore old toys here, but every now and then I'm graced with some great guests. And tonight we have from Sergeant Slaughterhouse, Zazel, my main man.
I'm here to fix and restore old memories.
There you go. And we have my newest friend, Dom from Toy Domination. How you doing over there, Dom?
I don't know if I qualify as friends, but that's
It's too bad. It's too late.
okay.
I live my life this way, my friend, is
All
that I will trust and be your friend until you give me a reason not to.
That will be in 5 minutes. No, hey, thanks so much for having me on here. I really appreciate it.
No, it's great. This is part 3 of a triple threat tonight. So if you haven't seen the first 2 installments, go and rewatch them on Zazel's channel and on Dom's channel. We had a lot of fun and talked about a range of things. And there's some relationship advice there, which is a lot of fun. And so go check those guys out and rewatch if you haven't. And who do we have with us in the chat? We have Articulated Chad here saying hello.
Who's
Loves
that
the
guy?
intro. Yeah, if you guys like the intro to I get a lot of comments with the intro to my videos. There's a Canadian artist named Danny Michel, and he graciously let me use that song. And I traded him for the right to use it, a Playmates Mr. Scotty figure to do that.
Great trade.
In the keeping with the Go Figure mind. But he's a Ontario-based singer-songwriter, and all his stuff is that good. So go check him out. It's Danny Michel. You can find him everywhere. So he is fantastic.
Huh.
So he's great. We've got Payne's Toy Samples here. How you doing, my friend? Everybody's coming over. This is Steven. How you doing? We're killing it.
One day I'll get a special high.
Steven is actually a really, really solid dude. Like, just a great friend and awesome guy. So,
Anybody who's giving you a special high must be a solid guy. That's
yeah,
all
I paid him a lot of money.
Jim Largo, greetings to you back, my friend. Glad to have you here. Brick and Tire. So I think how you doing? We're happy to have you here. But Brick and Tire is almost like a McLovin level name. It's almost epic. You know what I mean?
What are you, an Irish DJ?
Right? Oh, we got James Ratface here, who again, Zazel assures us is a very, very handsome man. Right? Brian, how you doing? Welcome. Happy that you're here. The legend himself, Ryan Sweeney's in the chat. Ryan Sweeney was my very first Patreon member, so he gets a special place in my heart forever. That's made me feel warm right there. Right there. Gaz is here. How you doing, Gaz? Look at this. Kenny made it all 3. He's here. He's doing it. Oh, we got Wilhelm. How we doing?
Hey-o.
Oh, look at this. Classified's here. Looking for that lunchbox. Classified will search all of YouTube to find a lunchbox. That's all I'm saying. So there you go. Oh, look at this. Special hi to Adam, only because no one gave him one yet.
That's
so
good.
There we are.
What a good guy.
See, Canadians do that, right? We just like to be saying hi to each other and having a good time that way.
It's great to see a lot of familiar names in the chat. If anyone is coming over here from Dom's channel or my channel and aren't already subscribed to this channel, then please hit that subscribe button and hit the like button too. It's
very
much appreciated.
People tell me that getting to 1,000 subscribers is a big deal. I just like genuine subscribers, even if I only have 5 of them. But if you genuinely like what we're doing, we appreciate the sub. We really do. But so a big part of my channel is restorations and fixes and being creative. What's going on, and I love the creative process. I love watching guys like Zazel, and what you do is, you're creating these little videos on your channel and your wrestling championship. I love that. I love seeing that. Dom, you have been so excited when we started talking about this, telling me almost like, here's what I want to do, and these figures and these figures and these customs. And so just to see other guys that are creative and like to put creativity into the hobby. There are collectors, and if you're collecting differently than I do, that's okay. There's no shame. But there's collectors that like things as mint and pristine, as exacting as they can,
right,
as it ever was. And I think there's time for that. Like I love my short boot He-Man who's like complete. I love that I have that in my collection. But I also love the ones where it's broken already, and you think, what can I do with this? And so I wanted to talk to these guys just about their creative process. And each one of these guys, as well as myself, do custom figures. And we hear that term a lot. Like, here's my custom of this, here's my custom of that. And I wanted to kind of break down what qualifies as a custom, the kind of different levels of custom figures, and how the three of us customize things differently. And and what that looks like, and why, and why all three ways are probably fantastic and a lot of fun. So I thank you guys for being on here. I really appreciate what's going on.
Thanks, buddy.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So Dom, tell us about your channel, because you're the newest person here on Go Figure. And then if you guys like kind of what's going on here, make sure you subscribe to Dom. If you're here as a Go Figure fan, you will also be a Dom fan. But Dom, give us a breakdown of your channel.
Yeah, so we kind of been discovering ourselves, right? And we started branding with like, hey, we're a channel that plays with our toys. And that's really what it bottom line's down to. So I just did a short where I'm out back with my son. I took a bunch of pictures, and then I voiced over with Warhammer 40K figures, having a lot of fun for me, just pretending that I can do voice acting, but also showing like, look at us playing with modern figures, grinding them into the dirt, getting them mucked up. And I don't do many. This is my toy room. I don't have the display behind me because it is a mess of toys on the floor. I've got 3 different games going on right now. And my best friend and I, we've known each other for 30 years, and our bond has been over G.I. Joes. So we used to have this in-house universe we made up. I'm a big storyteller. So we definitely are starting to inject more and more of that in now. It's less of the toy reviews, and we're steering it more to like, this is the realities we've made. And I'm so excited to do custom figures to you because I didn't understand the assignment, and I may have gone a little extra, which is Dom. I'm very extra with this stuff. So
don't be bad. Extra is good. I just want to say, Willem just subscribed to both Dom and Adam, and he's so mad. He's so mad he hasn't watched us before. He's a mad marauder. Don't be mad. I love when I find a new channel and get to dive through the back catalog, and it's like a Christmas present. So don't be mad. Just be excited that we get to be friends now.
And it's pronounced Wilhelm, by the way.
Wilhelm?
Wilhelm, yeah.
Very, very good. So, and Zazel is the man from the Slaughterhouse. If it's Sergeant Slaughter related, Zazel will tell you all about it. I love all your Slaughterhouse wrestling stuff. The thing that I think I love the most, that's a bold statement, but about your channel, is you will like post a 15-second clip of Sarge eating cornflakes. Like, where do you find that? Like, where does he source this stuff? I don't understand where he comes up with it, but you find all the Slaughter treasures across the internet and you share them with us. I appreciate that. But he is your originally, so that works.
Originally, my channel was just because I was looking up all the old commercials and so forth, and I really just wanted to have one place where I could go and watch all of those things in one place. I didn't think anyone would have any interest in it other than me. So I started off with just commercials, interviews, little snippets of wrestling or whatever that people would send to me or I would find online. And then after a while, people started commenting in the chats and talking about these experiences, and more and more familiar names started to pop up. And it was like, wow, maybe there's more here than just me uploading, little bits of clips and videos. Maybe I can start having a conversation with some of these people too, get to know some of the like-minded individuals. So we've branched out of just doing that. I mean, I still do that now, but now I also have open conversations like this, and we talk about things that we're into.
Wonderful. Okay, so let's dive in here. I'm going to bring up just some images here and kind of walk through kind of how I categorize my customs. And so there we go. So there's He-Man for you. Now, the first level of custom, and I don't know if this counts as custom or not, but when you repair a figure in a unique way, but from the outside you can't really tell. It looks the same, but it's very different. So this He-Man, for example, he has a 3D printed and painted harness and a 3D printed sword.
Okay.
I
Right.
couldn't even tell. I thought this was a straight up.
I had no idea what I was looking at. Yeah.
Right. So for me, like that to me is like a great fix. You find like a naked He-Man in a bin for a couple of bucks. You can put him on your shelf, and he looks like he's been there forever.
Yep.
And so that, I think, can be the most offensive form of customization.
Okay.
Yes.
Because
Yeah,
people
I
are like,
agree.
how dare you lie to me that that's not really He-Man,
Right.
right? Like, and I think that what goes along with that is people feel like you're going to rip them off, right? Or you're going to try and sell it, pass it off. And you hear this all the time in Star Wars Repro, right? Like, oh, you're going to rip us off with the Leia blasters and all that kind of stuff.
Yep.
But I think that comes down to what we were talking about before on your channel, Dom, is that we can't police if people are honest or not, right? We can't police if people are decent. And so I just, like I said, you can be my friend until you give me a reason not to be. So I'm gonna be honest with, this is a custom, this is not, this is repro. I was at a toy show 2 weeks ago when I had a Dick Tracy set up there. I love Dick Tracy action figures. I love them.
Yeah.
And I had some cars there because I bought a lot of cars to get 2 complete ones. And guys would come and look at the car, and I was like, just so you're aware, the passenger doors on both these cars are 3D printed. They don't have them there. I said, I thought they looked better with a 3D printed door than not. And the response to that was all over the board, where people were like, oh, thank you for letting me know. This looks great. Right. Or like, you'd be better off just taking it off and having all original with missing a door. And so, the repro thing, we're not going to solve it tonight. But I think that's the first, level of customization, is just like a repro piece that looks like it's supposed to look. So that's my He-Man there, who looks that way. This Captain America is a Secret Wars one. All of his deco hits, so the red stripes, the black belt, and the A on his helmet, are all vinyl cut out of the Cricut. And so they were just put on there. And again, I think it looks real slick. But again, it's a figure that looks mint, but it's customized. It's reproed. And, again, that can come across as offensive. Now, his shield here bridges us into the next level, is where custom accessories for things. So the Secret Wars Captain America never came with a shield, famously. He had that lenticular nonsense. Yep. So this shield is the bottom of a Coca-Cola can.
Oh,
that
cool.
I cut off and then put some vinyl decos on.
Wow.
And I think it looks sharp. It really works, right?
I think so.
Oh, and we got treasures for triggers here. Phil, he's here with us. This is fantastic. So again, there's custom accessories that can go along.
But if you're honest up front and say this is a repro, then so then I can pass, or it's when I get something and I go, wait a minute, I see 3D printer lines in this. I think that's where the disingenuous is. And as far as car collectors go, I think they're worse than toy collectors, because I had a soldier who was talking to me. He was like, oh, it's not parts by number. I was like, what are you talking about? He's like, these are parts by number. Even though it's original parts from the 60s, not parts by number. I was like, I don't know what you're talking about now. So like that level of detail. And he like turned his nose at it. But I'm like, for me, I'm like, that's an amazing Chevelle. I don't care, right?
Yeah,
so
I think it's great.
And I think from your homeland, Adam, Michael Mercer, yeah, he also is like, I'm not paying for the original piece if I can get a 3D printed one for a quarter of the price, and it's fine for my eye. I think that's the sweet spot of I wouldn't call it a custom, I would call it a reproduction or a restoration. But as long as you're honest.
Anti-repro people scream the loudest about repro products, but aren't buying them anyway, so it doesn't matter.
Right. So then we'll move on, and this is the Secret Wars Dr. Octopus.
Oh,
and so I designed up and printed these extra arms, because you can find him with no arms in any bucket in the world.
Wow. Yeah.
And so now this is a case where I think these ones don't look the same as the original, but they look better. Right? I think these are a little bit more alive looking. Yeah. So this isn't going to fool anybody, but because this again is that edging becoming a custom figure. And then if we move on, so here is a visionary of Leoric, And so the hologram chest was one of the first things I wanted to tackle as a fix, because you can find these guys with no holograms all day long. So
Already, that's so awesome.
So my first attempt actually worked. I did like a holographic style shimmery. I cut it out with a Cricut and then put a black overlay on top, so it looked exactly the same as the anniversary pack that Hasbro put out for the Comic-Con that had the Leoric figure with the shiny sticker. Then when I got my 3D printer, I just wanted to try things. So this is a 3-layer print of the piece, the chest piece, the black, and then this lion head is 3-dimensional and it glows in the dark.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah.
So it's something where here's like a repro piece, but it's going to be different, and in my way, kind of like a little bit more fun.
It elevates the concept of it, because now it's coming out at you in a 3D way. Lenticular had its moments, and I had fun with that as a kid, but this looks amazing.
So it's funny, the first comment when I posted this picture on Instagram was, if you're not going to buy a laser and make holograms, don't bother.
What is that? What is that toxic snobbery of like speaking in art? That is such the lowest form of blah blah.
Wait until you get to my customizing skills and the comments that I got. I've got some sweet comments to come out at.
Willem was being very, very kind here, and I appreciate
the video you made with your. So I'm going to give you credit and shame at the same time.
Perfect.
I watched your video with the Visionaries, and I was watching your intro and everything. I was like, okay, yep, I get this channel. And once you got into making the Visionary holograms, I like perked up and stopped what I was doing. I was like, what's happening right now? And I like went back and rewatched, and you have got to. I'm ordering you as an American to a Canadian, which is my right. I order you to go change that thumbnail to show that final product, because it is so cool what you were able to pull off there. And when you had the lineup, I like froze the frame. I was looking, I was like, this looks like the original holograms, but I know it's not. Intriguing, and really that is customization, because you went to like, I have a vision of a thing. I can't just recreate this pen out of scratch. I will find a way to create a thing that I want. Oh, it was so cool. And then when you posted the 3D one, I was like, as I'm sure this is cooler, but I actually am such a sucker for holograms. I'm like, no, I like the old thing. I love holograms. So like, but that's me, right? So
and it's this. I appreciate those words. So the Visionaries was my first big video. That was the reason I wanted to start the channel, was to do that fix.
Yeah.
But the ones I did before that was to learn how to make videos. I was like, I got to learn how to put the YouTube thing together, and then when I get there, I'll do the Visionary one. So these are a lot of fun. This is another video I did where I made a Dick Tracy soft goods coat.
Yep.
And
your soft goods game is spot on. One of my favorite videos, and you know this, is the Robin Hood Prince of Thieves, and the amazing work that you do on those soft goods as well. It's just impeccable. I shared that to my brother because we grew up playing with those action figures, and he loved it too. But I think you're fantastic. Too good. Yeah,
but again, something like this, just adding soft goods, you're not even changing the figure, but it becomes a custom. I think it elevates it. Yep. And it's like we were on the same page, Zazel, because here is my Flaming Arrows Robin Hood. And so this is a repro 3D printed bow, 3D printed design, flaming arrows, and then new soft goods on top, and a repainted figure. So it's kind of doing a number of things. It's still a Robin Hood figure, but it's repainted, new soft goods, and 3D printed accessories.
And they awesome stand.
I also I love making custom stands, so those work. But this is kind of like where all the things converge into one when you're editing an old figure, right? When you're kind of doing something like that. And here's the Azim from the wedding.
That's really cool, man.
The wedding Azim. So
I'm still going through a library, so I haven't hit these ones yet. There, though. This is really cool.
My favorite video.
Yeah, I
mean they're all great videos.
That was the one where Zazel's like, I've watched it 3 times and I can't stop. And I was like,
I'm more than 3 now, I reckon.
What is so awesome and horrible about being a toy collector now is that previously on Toy Domination, when I was in the late 90s and early 2000s, and you'd go to garage sales and hunt for GI Joes, you had to get what you got, right? Nowadays, though, the access to third party, to people like you who are making stuff out, like you make these stands, like it's so overwhelming, the customization options that you can do. Like I just ordered a batch for my 40K figures for Power Fist that's guy 3D printed. Like it's so amazing and dangerous at the same time. Cloth goods for Marvel Legends the same way, slippery slope.
Exactly. And then
oh wow,
Motu,
that's so badass.
Motu is my favorite customization, and so I have a rule with my Motu customs is that they have to appear seamless on the shelf. So like there's guys that go above and beyond and make it look with all the articulation and new technology.
With the aesthetic, or with like what do you mean like seamless?
Well, seamless, like it needs to look like it could exist in 1987.
Okay, got it. Yeah.
My biggest compliment is when someone sees my Motu customs and they say, "Oh, I never had him as a kid."
That's awesome.
Well, I remember that one.
Right.
Yeah.
So this is a custom made map called Firepower Skeletor, where he's been extra magicked up, and he's literally on fire here with a green aesthetic. I think this is a Skeletor that could have saved the line in '87 when they made all those weird ones. If they would have just given us a Skeletor. And then because I knew we were having you guys on, I wanted to make a special custom just for tonight. So this is Dungeon Escape Skeletor.
Look at that.
Yeah, that's so good. It's so good.
Oh, it looks so delicious like candy. I want to eat that up. Oh, man.
And again, my rule of it needs to fit in. Everything here has a history in Motu. So it's just the first style armor with a little bit of, I took off the bones, put chains in, put an extra little skull on it. And then these bands around his legs and feet, or his hands and feet, are the same bands from the Dragon Blaster Skeletor.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
So it's like there's a history, there's a lineage there, so that works. So again, something like that really pops on the shelf, right?
Yeah, and that's what the toy company would have done, was reuse parts from another figure. So yeah, that's really clever.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That would be a very easy one to do. Now this is a completely 3D printed and painted figure.
Nice.
I wanted to have a vintage style hero.
Yep.
And so the only way to do that is to find the very few Super 7 ones out there, or just go completely from the ground up. And it's crazy that, even 5 years ago, thank you so much, Wilhelm. We couldn't just make something that wasn't there before. We needed to use pieces from other things.
Right.
And we're in a world now where we can just, something that wasn't there an hour ago can be there. We can design it up and print it and paint it and make it happen. And we're really living in a fun time. This is my movie version of He-Man, which I think is a lot of fun. But again, making new versions of characters that already existed is pretty.
What's that accessory called? The something key, right?
The Cosmic Key. Yeah.
The which one?
The Cosmic Key.
Cosmic Key. Yeah.
That Cosmic Key was the first thing I ever fully designed in my 3D printing space.
Well, it looks great. Yeah, I love it.
I was pretty pumped up about that.
Yeah.
So he's a favorite of mine. I love the movie. People don't like the movie. I love the movie, so I wanted to have.
Yeah, I like the movie. That's fine.
Oh, it's horrible. It's so bad.
Right. And then there's Battle Armor Hordak, which is fun. But again, just taking the idea of the Kitbash, of taking parts that existed in that line and putting them together. This is my most recent, the Faker one, which is just a recolor of the Skeletor armor and the new sticker. But again, it's these customs can be new characters. They can be representations of characters that didn't exist or did exist. But so this is
cool.
This is one that I've actually had 3 people order from me.
Oh wow!
And it's such an easy little recipe, but it's stunning and it works really well.
Yeah.
So you are correct, Nolan. The movie was great. You should have got the Oscar. The Oscar.
Even as a kid, I was like, what did I just see? Why wasn't this on Eternia? Like, no, we'll talk about that another day, but oof.
Yeah. So anyways, that's kind of where I'm at with my customization, is that I'm a lot of kit bashing, a lot of like printing and soft goods, and really taking characters that already exist and giving new versions of them is kind of where I'm at. And then Zazel, one of the first conversations we had was we became friends and we were hanging out. And then you asked me to do a voice of a character in one of your videos. So I sent you some voice clips. And you sent me the representation of the character that I'm going to be voicing. And you're like, this is what he's going to look like because I don't paint figures.
Yeah.
I didn't know you well enough at that point in time. Like, is he against it? Like, is that one of his rules? Like, don't put new. But you've since then said, I just can't do it. I just don't know.
Yeah, it doesn't look great. Yeah, I just
but-
don't.
Right. But your custom stuff is, and stop me if I'm
Oh.
wrong, it's just kit bashing. It's just swapping parts around.
Right. So G.I. Joe is one of those lines where it was very easy to create your own Joes. And here, if you look at the side, well, back here, for instance, I wanted to have Dalzim in the wrestling championship, but I wanted him to wear something that wasn't just, basically standing in the slaughterhouse naked, right? I was like, we're going to give him some clothes. So what I did is I gave him the Fun School version of Red Dog's outfit.
Yeah.
And he was actually voiced by Fun School Ronnie. So if you haven't seen Fun School Ronnie's channel, check that out. But I thought that was a great little nod to Fun School Ronnie by giving him a Fun School body. And Taurus, I think this is Armadillo, the character's name.
Yep, it is, yeah.
I wanted him to have more of a wrestling outfit, and I noticed that he had the bull on his belt buckle. I was like, perfect. This fits Taurus just fine. So I just put the head on there. It fit. So good to go.
Yeah.
So this is part of the training montage. But the Sergeant Slaughter one here, this is actually the first Sarge that I ever got. It was just basically the torso, and then later on, I got to complete him. I got another Triple T Sarge and a mail away Sarge, but I had an extra mail away set of legs. So what I did is I put the mail away legs. You can't really tell. Have you got the other picture of Sarge in the ring? Yeah. So it's the mail away legs with the Triple T tank top and some bands that I got from a wrestling figure, and I created what is essentially what I called a custom Sergeant Slaughter in a full black outfit, which he used to wrestle in, not with G.I. Joe on the side, but he used to have a full black outfit. And I was really proud of it. I was like, oh, this is really cool. So I went up into the forums. I was like, check out this custom Sarge I did. You could probably use it for Night Force or whatever, but I'm using it as like the pre days where just wearing the all black in the AWA days. And everyone's like, that's not a custom. That's a part swap.
That is the same thing. That is a custom. Part swapping is customization. Ugh.
So everyone down the line is like, that's not a custom. That's not a custom. That's just a part swap. That's so simple. Anyone can do that. And I was like, dude, I just wanted to show you what I did. Right. I just wanted a thumbs up and a good job, right? So I felt really let down by the community because I thought I was going to get a bunch of, check that out. But it was just
great. It's great.
Thank you. I ended up tweeting it back before Sarge and I were best friends. I tweeted it and I put at Sergeant Slaughter's all black outfit. And he replied back to that and said, oh, I've never seen a custom of Sarge wearing the all black outfit that I used to wear. This is really great. And I was like, yes, it is. Thank you, Sarge.
Did you screenshot and send back to all those chats?
I screenshot it and posted it. Yes.
I can just see Zazel's wife like in the living room and he struts in with a cigar, just sits down with a glass of cognac and be like, what's happening?
Well,
I've peaked.
I think that's why in our own community, right, in our own little niche environment, that's why kit bashing became such a popular thing to say. Like, it's kit bashing. And you'll see that when people post on whatever groups, like, hey, I kit bash this, I kit bash that, instead of saying customizing. Right. And like, I'm fine with that caveat because as I have more and more things to do, I tend to lean towards kit bashing less than like full customizing. So I'm fine with the caveat, but it's under the umbrella of customization. Like, that's the big term, customizing.
Right.
Kit bashing is a genre of that. So
right. So I'm fully aware that it took me only to be able to unscrew a G.I. Joe and re-screw it back together. I realize that that's the simplicity of it. So here is the Mr. T head from one of the A-Team figures just put on top of a General Hawk.
And Hazel, I want to stop you there and say the extent of your skill was to unscrew Joe and put it back together, but the extent of your skill was to have the vision of like, what do I want to see happen and how do I get there?
Yeah.
Right. And so some people don't have that, right? They don't see the parts and say, well, here's what could be. And so it's not just unscrewing a G.I. Joe, but it's saying I want an AWA Sarge. How do I get there?
Yeah. So I think for me, I started doing, if anyone's wondering what all of these pictures are representing, it's part of a series I do called the Slaughterhouse Wrestling Championship, which was my excuse to start playing with toys. And it's branched out to inviting friends along to also voice these characters. So it feels like I'm playing with toys with friends. So yeah, I mean, it's much cooler than doing it by myself. So it's the adult equivalent for me of playing action figures with my buddies. And if anyone's wondering what this is, this is a very I was going to say this is very. I'm not going to downplay it, right? I was going to say this is a very simple Kitbash. This is my custom Sergeant Slaughter wearing his camo jacket that he uses when he's commentating the matches. And over here is it's Monkey Wrench. I use him as Macho Monkey Wrench. And after a fight with Vega, he was poisoned with toxin or venom from a snake, and it transitioned him to Macho King Cobra.
Oh, nice. Was he against the ropes, the snake just biting on his arm for like 20 minutes?
Well, it wasn't, and I won't spoil it for you. Go and check it out. Everyone, it's a 4-part series so far. There's a 5th one coming out. I won't spoil exactly how it plays out, but if you're into that sort of stuff, I hope that the story is captivating. I think each episode gets better because I'm learning as I go, but I think you'll find a bit of humor around Macho Monkey Wrench.
As soon as I saw that last face, I was like, that kind of looks like a Macho Man. I wonder. And then you started saying, I was like, yes, that's it. Like, oh yeah. Like, yeah, that's perfect, man.
Absolutely.
And this is just putting different heads on these bodies to create commentators. So this is my character on the left-hand side in the black. So I do the commentary. It's just me, but without a beard. And on the other side, you'd think I'd be the guy with the beard. But on the other side is the what did I end up calling him again? The $1 Million Merc. So he's like playing on the $1 Million Man, but he's also Mercer, so it's $1 Million Merc, voiced by Stephen Jubber from G.I. Joe Berg. So
there we go.
Yeah, and there's me and Sarge just being best friends, commentating on all the matches.
I love that you're really sticking to the best friends gimmick. I really do.
What do you mean sticking to? It's not a gimmick. I will say, sorry, give me a second. I've got an announcement to make. I got to quickly blow my nose. Hang on a moment.
I really wanted to hear what an Australian mating call sounded like, so I wish I could hear that blowing of the nose.
It's just opening up a can of beer.
Yeah,
opening up a can of beer is how you. So my next episode is actually going to have Sergeant Slaughter doing a voice in the Slaughterhouse Wrestling Championship.
Get out of here! That's amazing.
So, Sergeant Slaughter already intros it as a live action segment, which I thought was great because it was like the old school cartoons where Sarge would introduce them, and the same as Bill Cosby used to do with the Cosby Kids, Fat Albert, and all of that, and how Mr. T used to do his Mr. T channel and Karate Commandos with Chuck Norris. I thought it'd be cool to get Sarge to do live action intros to my Slaughterhouse Wrestling Championship. So he does that, and I thought it'd be another cool step if he wanted to. I didn't make him. You can't make Sarge do anything. But I thought it was cool if he wanted to do a voice for me for the Slaughterhouse Wrestling Championship. But he's not coming in to do Sarge because I already do Sarge. That role's already filled.
Charlie Chaplin entered a Charlie Chaplin lookalike contest and came in second. So that's kind of what you're doing here. Like, I do a better Sergeant Slaughter than you do. So good.
So he's coming in as the Fun School Super Cop, which is basically a repaint of Sergeant Slaughter. So he did a whole bunch of lines for me as the character Super Cop.
Fantastic.
Yeah. And I have a box of things here that I'm sending to Australia at some point in time. But I do have the Sarge and the beret that you asked for.
So cool. Yes.
So it's a complete 3D printed head that I put together.
Wow.
To kind of give Sarge a beret. Because I wanna be able to support the Slaughterhouse as best I can.
I appreciate it.
So now, Dom, walk us through your custom stuff. Like, what's your custom process and experience?
So when I was single, I had time to try to paint and kitbash vehicles and stuff like that. And then as family, want to take more of my time. You have less and less of that, right? Because your pie starts getting cut up a little bit more there. So recently, it's just been doing easy swaps and kit bashing stuff too. But I'm gonna hijack and go this way. There we go. So I didn't understand the assignment of what we were doing. So I went extra.
That's cool.
So everything from kit bashing is, or customizing for me, that's a black wash.
Yep.
Right. So that's just,
Oh,
that was a
that's so much better.
plain ugly green. And that Space Marine. Ugh. Right. So just a black wash to bring out those details in that guy there too.
They used to save a lot of my miniatures back in the day, was giving them that wash just to really pick out the details.
That's the level of paint that I go to now. And even trying to do washes is painful for time right now. Like that is a big demand on my time to sit down and do all those things. So it's very rare. I've just started doing that more. And then same thing with like the Doom Marine doing washes on there too, right? But for the 1/18th, which is where my heart really goes to, I was really lucky before the nostalgia bug hit everybody and everybody started just gobbling up G.I. Joes. I would go on eBay and buy lots.
Look at that.
And you can see how the top body are all the same. It's that Mirage version 2, which I really liked because it's OD green. And so I just made, and in our headcanon, these are more of kind of like heavier infantry, like mech infantry, because they've got a little more kit and gear on them. You can imagine that that green is actually being some sort of, bulletproof or padding, not full armor in there. So we kind of like, hey, these are going to represent this within our own headcanon here. And then when I was younger and had more time, I really took time for specific characters. So like this dude over here, that's actually DJ. And one of the favorite things we'd like to do is as we play with these figures is we'd muck them up. Like this is one of my characters here. It's Super Trooper's head, who I love that he has like this, it's almost sort of Native American inspired with like how the cheekbones are structured, everything, but he's got this very stoic and hard face in there. And I always just saw this guy as a mature soldier. And you can see like from the mud and the scuffs and the blood on there, like this guy has seen some stuff. And that's how we use that guy. His name's Moran. And I found other ways to personalize, because it is hard with the O-ring figures to do head swaps, because sometimes you just, so this is actually Dash Rendar glued in there.
Yeah. That's cool.
And then BBI and 21st Toys, which I use interchangeably, they were great for their stuff they came with, but had terrible figures. But you could do the same thing with the heads. You could just a little bit of super glue and pop them in there. And again, this is like, I'm sure there's real G.I. Joe fans who are like, that's Toxic Viper, or the zombie one. I painted it because I wanted the dings in the armor and the damage in the armor to pop up. And I went OD green to blend into everybody. But this was an old neon one. So I have a whole spread of, from kit bashing to painting to just adding, get out of here, to just adding some Star Wars cloth goods to mixing up an armor in there. That's the Tiger Force Lifeline with some Valor vs. Venom like that. And then this, actually, I recently found that Imaginex, that's Imaginex body armor on this guy back here.
That's incredible.
Yeah, so, and it even works better because I built a giant spaceship. Having the Imaginex bubble helms, they slide over the old O-ring figures really well. And you've got those. And then my boys, you talked about the last stream. Is my mic coming in good? Because I'm kind of moving around.
Yeah, great.
My boys are really into it. So they started doing their own customs. And, my son is really more into sci-fi fantasy than he is like hard military. So that's kind of what we play towards. And he started doing, like, he told me, he's like, Dad, when you explain people what these are demons that are born from human rage. So he kind of did like this theme of all the red. And he like, these are very demon heads. Those are from the terrible movies that came out, but the head sculpts are really cool and very demonic. Yeah. So he started just adding these guys in. So this is his, and we haven't played with these yet, but this is going to be his new threat that comes in for our spaceship, right? Because as like humans begin to hate each other, these things spawn more and more. We've got to figure out what's causing them. So that was his kind of customization and kit bashing. And that's just part swapping all over the place. Like there's the terrible spy troopers, I think, to the Viper zombie that came out, to the movie sculpts on here too. And this is actually this came from, I think, Evil Dead, and then a Star Wars helmet. So he's just put stuff all over the place to make these, and that's Black Mask too. So that one figure. But for him and for me, I'm like, that is a very unique, cool custom. And then my youngest son, Finn, he always goes to the Duke helmets. I'm going to... There we go. And these guys back here are more of our in Star Wars, you've got kind of like the rogues and you've got like the Han Solos. So my youngest son Finn tends to go for more of those guys. So get him out of here. So he made, this is a Joy Toy head on a Pursuit of Cobra body with another terrible spy troopers or whatever that line was, poncho. And these are some bat hands that he found out he could put on the bottom. And these are just, he likes to call them wanderers. So like, Dad, this is another wanderer. So pseudo post-apocalypse or, whatever setting you want to have in there. So I love being able to that these figures are so interchangeable and you can swap them out. That is how we design new characters. And like this girl with the mouth breather on, she's actually got flippers. Because I don't know. Yeah, because I don't know if you played the game. What you call it? Gosh, I'm totally blanking now. It's underwater alien exploration game. Dang, I'm completely blank. Subnautica. So we played Subnautica, and then we went downstairs, and he's like, "I want a Subnautica character." We made a whole Subnautica game. So that's one of the characters from that game was she can swim underwater, and she's got like a laser taser for the animals. This is a custom I recently started doing with vehicles. Out of the way, infantry scum. That's from one of the cheaper Big Lots toy tanks. It was an Abrams, and I was like, but I want something. I don't like the Abrams tank. It's so iconic. So I glued a Sigma 6 barrel on it, and where it connects into it is actually a washer used for plumbing. And then I took a Godzilla tank turret, slapped it on there, and then glued this tri-barrel on the end with another washer in there. And I just did the whole thing in Cobra Blue. I'm like, hey, Cobra's armor stinks. So here we go. Let's go ahead and give them something that can actually go toe to toe, if not more, and do some overmatch to the MBTs. So my customization is just all over the gambit here. And again, it's all geared around play. I'm not trying to recreate something from my childhood. I am trying to establish a new story and feed into our existing headcanon. So
I love that. So
brilliant stuff.
You're writing all this stuff down, right? All your son's storyline, like all this IP they're coming up with. You're documenting this, right?
So I have this is your channel, but I'll take some of your airtime here to explain this. I've written and had a book published, and it's sci-fi military. And it's extremely inspired by how we played by G.I. Joes. You cannot read it and go, "Oh yeah, this is from G.I. Joes." I'm a soldier, and I'm also very anti-war. Which is, you think it'd be the opposite, but one of the things about war is that it's a tragedy and you have humans on either side. So there's no good or bad. I didn't like the polarization of G.I. Joe. So when we played, there's humans on either side. So if I were to drag out all my Vipers right now, a lot of them have human faces from the Joe line because I wanted the Vipers to be people, right?
Right.
So to answer your question, Joe and I, the guy I do my live show with, I have 5 binders, 3-ring binders over there filled with like D&D like notes from when we used to do it, and now I have a Google Drive of like, hey, this is the canon. What we're doing now is we're diving into my channel and saying like, hey, this is this alien race called the Zolorians, and they're these warriors, and I use the nullifier guys with that cool Viper on there. I'm like, that's so cool. It doesn't seem G.I. Joe. So it is written, and now that I'm taking the time on our channel, I'm expressing all that canon into there. And we talked the last time about how I'm trying to make a game out of it. That's going to be set in that lore. So that's a long way of saying, yes, I do.
Good, because I've said a number of times, I think in this stream and in the other streams tonight, is that we need kids playing with toys. And I don't see that happening until we have new IPs. Everything in the toy aisle right now is from us. And like I have a toy IP that I'm working on with my buddy Chris, and I have a guy named Verko who's working on some art for us. And I've put it out there. I've sent it to Spin Master, and I've sent it around. And all the responses that we have enough IPs. This is a Kickstarter. And I was like, but it's not a Kickstarter because I want kids to play with it. I don't want adult collective versions.
Yes. And every time I see someone making a new line on IG, I'm like, that's awesome. But it's only going into this. It's not dropping down. Right.
And the thing is, we as toy collectors want to buy stuff.
Right.
Like we're going to buy it anyways. If it's a new line comes out, we're going to buy it because we love buying toys. And I think the big companies are fooling themselves that like, oh, they're only going to buy what they had as a kid, and I don't think that's true. I think we just like toys.
So I will say though that, and we talked about this on Articulated Chads where I first met Zazel and his amazing beard. Fortnite's a good example of this, and like video games are a good example of this. We don't have the culture of cartoons like we did in
Right.
the 80s, but video games are. And for a while, I thought that collecting video game skins or video game stuff in Steam was the new replacement for action figures. I don't think that's true. My son's never played Fortnite, but he loves Fortnite figures. He loves all that stuff. It appeals to him. It appeals to the cartoonish, but yet violence. I was like, man, they hit gold here. And that is on the toy aisles right now. And I don't think it's just adults collecting. I think it's 20-year-olds who play those games pretty aggressively. And I think it's younger kids who see their older siblings buying it. So I think that is a mark on how you cater towards that.
Absolutely. And I would say if I was, the guy running the Fortnite figure sales, I would have done simpler figures, lower articulation, lower price point.
Lower price point. Absolutely.
So kids can get more of them because
Yeah.
they're being sold as like 64 points of articulation to us.
And adults were going out buying these things, going, "Oh, this would be a good replacement for a GI Joe like Firefly."
Yes, swapping
no,
it. Yeah.
Stop.
Right?
This isn't for you.
It's funny when we have the articulation, how articulated is this figure? Is it going to be, how posable is it? Whatever. When we were kids, we didn't like GI Joes because they were more articulated. We liked them because they were GI Joes.
Yeah.
Right. We like He-Man despite crazy rubber leg bands. That's what the articulation was for that figure, and we didn't want more. We just wanted what we wanted. And so I think, to get kids playing again, we need IPs. Like when you were talking about your sons and the demons, and they come from human hatred. I'm like, this needs to be out there. Like this is a great story, and good stories what gives us good characters, and good characters give us good toys.
100%. I think that, so I'm very new to YouTube. Like I feel very old every time I'm like introduced to this world, right? So my only entry into toys was Toy Galaxy. He's more of an archivist, but he always says like, of course, this toy line was supplemented with cereal boxes and cartoons and comics and blah, blah, blah. We don't have that across the brand merchandising as much. It's still there, obviously, as much, right? But you're right. The imagination for kids to just be given something, they'll run rampant with them. You give them a banana, it's a gun. But if you give them a story that can have a background to, they will take what you've given them a story-wise and they will supplement it and they'll run their own adventures. That has to be retweaked on how we look at that now. Yeah.
With the IP that I was sending out and seeing, just to throw it against the wall, see what happened. In it, there was also a streaming plan, where I think there would be a paradigm shift. Is so if a company, let's just pick Spin Masters because I'm Canadian, they're a Canadian toy company. Huh. If they took my idea and they took your idea, and let's say Zazel has an idea, and then we'll say Gaz has an idea. So they take our 4 ideas, and there are 4 different properties, and they say we're going to develop these 4 things, and we're going to do 4 cartoons. We're going to just go for it, 4 cartoons. If they release them on Netflix or Hulu, whatever it is, but Netflix is probably the one, as a block every Saturday of 4 episodes.
Yeah, okay.
And then you could go back and watch it as a binge it once they've been released. But every Saturday for a season, they release a block in the morning. And they brand the whole thing Taking Back Saturdays. Every father who has a kid who grew up watching cartoons is going to tune in on that Saturday morning.
Yeah, and that's a really clever take in that. So in my household, we do Saturday morning cartoons. Like we go to Netflix and we watch some of their stuff, watch some of my stuff. Like at any given morning, we'll watch Gargoyles, but we'll also watch what we're just watching, Puppy Cat, right? So new cartoon shows. So I will say that marketing appeal is still effective on kids to watch a show, because Finn will turn around and be like, I want a toy of that. I'm like, I don't know if they make anything other than those stupid Funko Pop things for that, man. I don't know, right? So I would say that rally around the TV could pluck at nostalgia strings to our age group to with our kids. But the next step is, I think as adults, and I don't think this is a hard stretch for us. I think as adults, you have to tell them how to play with toys. And I know that seems crazy because no one told us as kids to do that. But I think nowadays, and we brought this to the last stream, with so many things at your disposal, you have to say, so what I do, for example, is I go very DM and I narrate. I'm like, well, wait. What are you doing? Don't just hold the figure and go, yeah. What do you do? Like raise his arms. Look, he has elbow joints. And like, oh, I make him like this. Like, so it takes that parent involvement and getting our imaginations to help their imaginations too, right? Like, I don't know.
But again,
I gotta disagree with one point there, Dom. You said no one showed us how to play with toys. That's not true. Commercials, comics, cartoons, they were all showing us how to play with toys. And I mentioned earlier that that's exactly what happened. That's why we collect today, is because they were targeting us specifically.
Yeah, that's
that the advertising was so ingrained into our brains. It did influence our play pattern. It influenced our collecting mentality. And it's why we, outside of every other generation that's come before and after, that's why we are still in it, because we were programmed as such to be in this like-minded.
And I think that ties back to why I make custom figures, is because I loved the line so much. I love Motu so much. I love G.I. Joe so much. I did my first custom Sectars figure. I loved them so much. But I'm 8 figures away from being done Motu and having them all. And so it's a way that you can expand the line, right? You can just take what you had as a kid and get more of it. And I think that's how, when we're talking about how we play with toys, that's how I play, is I want to expand the line, and get into like, how would Mattel in '88 make another wave of figures, right? And we are so attached to these figures. Like when you're making your custom, you love G.I. Joe so much, you have this whole world now and this custom Cobra tank. I love your custom Cobra tank. I think it should go. I think it should go 1-on-1 against the Phoenix driver, and you should see what happens.
The Phoenix driver. Remind me?
So I did a custom tank for Sarge, an improvement on the Triple T. Did you see that video?
I'm still going through a library. There's as the burden of having to introduce new people is, I'm like, another channel I've got to explore. So I cycle through. I go one video for each person I've seen instead of just binging on one. So
there's a lot of great quality content out there that it really is hard right now to keep up with all the good stuff.
It's a lot,
right?
Yeah.
So this is the Phoenix driver.
Oh, I recognize that from that terrible. Actually, you know what? People dog that base, but I really like that body of that tank. It had a weird, the missile thing on the side there was kind of odd, but that's a good base for a main battle tank.
Yeah, so exactly, it was a good base, and then I was like, well, what can I do with it? And so I made the new one for Sarge, because I had that really janky cannon on it.
What's the white brace in the front? Is that like a smashing?
The storyline is that Sarge was caught behind enemy lines, and he built this out of garbage. So all the seat stuff is all diamond plated.
Yeah.
And like welded together. The guns are like World War I era planes. And this is just iron girders made into a battering ram.
I did start that video because I remember you referenced the Enemy Behind Enemy Lines movie. I started that one. So I'm getting through your stuff there too. Yeah. I will say mine already wins because the barrel on mine is already bigger. And but by the time you get to the battering ram concept, I'm rolling over it. So I also am a very military history nut. So I have a hard time with old G.I. Joe vehicles, not just like the HISS tank has the glass canopy in the front. I'm like, you're dead. You're dead on first contact. Like, this never work. All the bullets go to the front of the tank. That's the most arm. You should make.
You must have been really fun to play with as a kid. No.
Yeah. This is wrong. You're playing wrong. Yeah. So no.
He's dead. He's dead.
Again. So excellent. So if you guys had to say, in all your customization, what's your favorite custom figure? What would that be?
Well, for me, I think I got the most value out of the Sarge, the fully black Sarge. I think I got the most value out of that because I was able to use it in the first episode. I was able to show it to Sarge, and he liked it. So that made me feel good about it too. So I look at that and I feel like a real connection to that figure. Second to that would be the one with the camo coat. Because I use him as a commentator, I interact with him quite a bit. So between the two of those, they're my favorites for sure.
Fantastic. Don's like to get something, I think.
That's a hard question. Asking a favorite of anything is a hard question. I needed that a week in advance.
I know. Do it. Just
I'm sure there are figures out there that I really kitbashed and swapped elbows out and wrists, and I bought pieces from Marauders to customize. I'm sure in those bins I'd be like, oh yeah, of course, I bought cloth goods for this guy. But my favorite figure in my entire collection, and I did a very simple kitbash, and it's the only Acid Rain I actually have, is the Acid Rain Space, and I just put a dusty Pursuit of Cobra head on there.
Yep.
And I couldn't find it because, of course, my boys were playing with it, but I gave them a crowbar. And if you've ever played the game with Gordon in it, oh gosh, what's that first-person shooter game? The horror-inspired
Silent Hill?
No. It's got the why am I blanking right now? Maybe it's because we've been doing this for 3 hours. Anyways, I absolutely love the imagination that is dumped into having a space prisoner. And I was like, wow, it's my favorite figure ever. So all I did was put a head on there, gave him a crowbar, and he goes through all the horror scenarios that you expect from a sci-fi horror. So
Half-Life. Everybody's screaming
Half-Life. Thank you. Gosh, Half-Life. So I want to swap out to actually give him a goateed head, but I'm waiting to find the perfect head to make him into my Half-Life guy. But yeah, he is the survivor in all our scenarios. After the bugs go through and kill everybody, he's creeping around looking for guns and stuff. So absolutely my favorite one. And all I do is
it's interesting you say that with all like the work and detail you put into stuff. Sometimes a simple figure is the one that wins. So I think my favorite custom is maybe one of the easiest ones I've done ever. But is the horde version of Skeletor.
Oh yes.
Oh yeah, that's cool. Yeah.
So it's just Skeletor's head, Jitsu's body, and Hordak's armor. That's all it is. But it works so well, right? And it's something that, again, 88 could have released in a store, and that's something Mattel would have done. So you know, it's one of those things where just
that Havoc stuff is something else.
Yeah, so I designed that and printed that to look like the movie, just to have a different of a Havoc staff.
Yeah, I like it.
Well, there you go. Well, if you like it, Zazel, it must be good.
Everyone likes it,
but it's that is what drives the creative process. Is you have something that you're passionate about, and you're like, I wonder if, or I want to. So I'm sure if I showed this, like, this is my favorite custom, it would be much like your reaction, Zazel, were like, you just swapped a head, you idiot, right? But for me, I saw this buck, and I was like, my brain just like, look what you could do with that guy. And all I did was put a little personality on him, and like, it is my most cherished toy. And this isn't nostalgia. There's no IP associated with this. This is something I bought 2 years ago. I'm like, this, when the house burns down, I got to get this guy out of there, right? So it's the same thing for your custom. You probably have worked harder or done more things or like had better success at a custom you've done, but that's the one you love. And that's why I like seeing other people's collections. Because for me, I'd walk in your house and I'd probably pick 15 other figures. And then you point to that one, I'd be like, really, that's your favorite? Okay, but I love, so, but that's, I love seeing the heart that's into them. So
even my standard Wild Bill isn't just a plain Wild Bill, because I changed his legs to have spurs. Took that off of the headman's troopers. What are they called?
Yeah, those enforcers, those drug enforcer guys. Yeah, those are cool. Headhunters.
That's it. Headhunters.
So it's funny. I was at a toy show with a buddy, and I bought that version of Wild Bill, and he was like, "Oh, it's not the original one. That's not as good. That's 90s. I don't like it." And I was like, "No, I like this." He's like a cavalry. He's like Dances with Wolves, Wild Bill.
Yeah.
I posted a picture to our group, and I was like, "Hey, what do you guys think of this version of Wild Bill? I love him." And Zazel was like, "I like him. I like him better with spurs." And I was like, now I'm jealous of Zazel's.
True cavalryman needs spurs. That makes sense. Yeah, I love that.
Exactly. Right. So I just broke one of his legs off, so he looked like Kevin Costner now.
Perfect. Yeah.
Right.
Hey, someone in the chat said that they put together the Moss Man with the man thing. Please go on Instagram and tag me and show me how you did that, because I am super intrigued on how you combine these very different in there. So let me know later on, like, hey, this is how I did that. That sounds really cool.
Yeah. So
I would also be interested to know that.
One of my favorite things is seeing other people's customs.
Mm-hmm.
There was a surreal moment about 3 months into like launching my channel. And again, you launch a channel not to get clicks, not to get famous, just because I like doing this stuff, and maybe somebody else likes doing it too. But the first time someone sent me a picture saying, "Hey, I did your recipe, and this is how it worked out," I was like, "Oh, that was the coolest experience." Was like someone watched the video, replicated it, and then did it themselves. I love that so much. So that was a big moment for me. Is to like you say, show me how you did it, and then we can take it and we can even like tweak it a little bit and make it this is how I play with my toys.
Yeah.
Right.
Zazel and I are both muting to cough off screen. Yeah. Like we're both just like,
guys would have like me would have been fine.
Yeah. So I did a recording on Thursday night, and I had like a sore throat and it was really bad. And we were using paint thinner, And the whole time I was like, oh my, it was just aggravating the hell out of everything.
Yeah.
And I was like, I have to stop this recording. I'm going to do a voiceover later. Like, it was so bad. So,
I'm
Well,
glad that
guys,
my
we're,
voice held
we're
up.
seconds away from the 1 hour mark, and I want to respect you guys and your time. But just thank you for being on the show. If you guys have watched this and you're not already subscribed to these two channels, that's crazy because they have matching beards. So it would just make sense.
Which one's which?
Which one's which? But no, it's been a pleasure having you guys on. This has been a dynamite evening. And again, watch their channels. It's incredible content. It's very fun. And you will leave with a smile. So thank you, everybody in the chat. Thank you guys for being on. And we will see you guys on the next video.
thanks for having me.
See ya.